What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reviewing Dragon's Rising Season 3. So let's talk about this. Now, not only that we're going to be reviewing Season 3, we're also going to be reviewing the 3 shorts that came out this year. That being Ninjago Legends Monstrosity, Ninjago Legends Kai's Monstrous Journey, and Ninjago Crossroads Crosstalk. Now, the reason why we're talking about those 3 shorts is because those 3 shorts are canon within Dragon's Rising. So, without further ado, let's review Dragon's Rising Season 3. Back in 2024, during Comic Con, it was announced that Season 3 was greenlit for Dragon's Rising, and on January 31st, LEGO uploaded the first teaser for Dragon's Rising Season 3 onto their YouTube channel, as well as the first teaser poster, until March 20th, where LEGO uploaded the full trailer for Dragon's Rising Season 3 alongside with the full poster, revealing the release date for Dragon's Rising Season 3 to be on April 17th. The first half of Season 3 was released onto April 17th worldwide. However, 1 week after its release, episodes 11 to 14 were released by Roku. And then, sadly, the next day, Roku released the next 4 episodes of Season 3 Part 2, which basically shocked the whole Ninjago community. That is until on May 1st, LEGO uploaded a brand new trailer for a new series of shorts called Ninjago Legends Monstrosity, which until by June 12th, Monstrosity held an exclusive world premiere in Brickworld Chicago until June 15th, where Monstrosity was released worldwide on LEGO's YouTube channel. On July 17th, LEGO announced that they will be making another new series of shorts called Kai's Monstrous Journey, where they released the first episode directly onto LEGO.com by the end of July up until August 15th. However, episodes 19 and 20 were released by Roku, until Season 3 Part 2 officially released worldwide on September 4th. But by the end of September, LEGO uploaded another teaser for another new series of shorts called Crossroads Crosstalk, where the first 2 episodes were released onto LEGO.com on October 7th, while the last episode was released on November 4th. Now, many Ninjago fans were really excited about it when it was first announced way back in early of 2025, where this new series of shorts were meant to target older Ninjago fans who've been watching the show since 2011. And that Kai was the main focus of the new series of shorts, where this takes place directly in Dragon's Rising, where after the merge, Kai is stuck in the land of monsters. Alongside with the new series of shorts, we also got 2 sets to go alongside it, that being the Fire Knight mech and the Guardian Dragon, which many Ninjago fans were very curious about those 2 sets. But then, LEGO uploaded the teaser for Monstrosity, and the Ninjago community went wild. People were so excited for this new series of shorts and how different it is compared to Dragon's Rising. The animation, the tone, Kai himself, everything. The whole Ninjago community were talking about this. But what's crazy is that people who have not seen the show were also talking about this, and people who have stopped watching Ninjago were also talking about this, of how crazy of a difference this new series of shorts of Ninjago is, so different to what they were watching when they grew up. And once the series was released, the fans were praising this series. And oh my god, Monstrosity was such a good series, just because of how different it is compared to Dragon's Rising and the rest of the Ninjago series as a whole. First and foremost, Sun Creature Studios returned to animate the Monstrosity shorts, having previously worked on Golden Legend, which makes sense because Golden Legend was such a praised short back in 2021, and it makes sense to bring them back because they cooked with this series. And oh my god, this series was so good with the score, the tone, the animation, the voice acting. I really like Monstrosity, and this show is meant to target older Ninjago fans, and it was meant to do. First and foremost, I really like the tone of the series. It's very dark because it's meant to target older Ninjago fans, and I really like the tone and the aesthetic and the whole scenery of the series. I really like that alongside with the score. It matched perfectly with what's going on with this series. But I want to give huge props to the voice acting in this series because oh my god, Vincent Tong does it all for Kai. And I will say, Kai is the MVP of the series. And Kai, as a character, was so good in the series of how lost Kai is and how he's now stuck in this weird, monstrous, infected place where he thinks that he cannot escape from this land of monsters. And Vincent Tong delivers as Kai, and I just want to say, huge praises goes to him. The best performance that we got from him in this series, and it shows because he went all out for Kai, and I think that this is probably the best Kai performance that we've seen him do in the series. So, huge praises goes to him. But overall, this series was very good, if not the best pieces of the Ninjago media to date that we have. But there is one tiny issue about this series that many fans will agree on this, and that is the runtime. Each of the three shorts were about 4 minutes long, and the total combined runtime of the entire series is 14 minutes long, which is kind of short. But at the end of the day, these are shorts, not full-length episodes. So I do kind of wish we do actually got full-length episodes to Monstrosity. And people were asking for more content out of the series. So LEGO decided, well, let's make another new series that ties in with it called Kai's Monstrous Journey, where it's basically a sequel series to Legends Monstrosity. And people were very excited about it, but asking the exact same question. What are the episodes are gonna be like? Oh my god. What happened here? Monstrosity showed so much promise. Where did it go? Needless to say, these shorts just isn't good. Kai's Monstrous Journey sucks. It sucks hard. Now, when this series was announced back in July, it was teased that a big returning character was gonna return in this new series of shorts. And at the end of the day, who did they bring back? No one. We don't know who. Maybe it was Wildfire. Maybe it was Bullshit. Maybe it was Dyden. Who knows? It was never explicitly said on who the returning character was. Many fans have speculated it was Skylar, however, it wasn't. And this whole new series of shorts is based on the whole Kai's Monstrous Journey comic video that was on Ninjago.com. And they decided to make it a full-length series of shorts, and over the span of 3 episodes, it was just kind of bad. Now, I will say the animation was kind of unique because it wasn't animated by Wildbrain. It was actually animated by the same people who done the Wildfire shorts last year. So I think that the unique stylized animation in this new series of shorts was different. Although the minifigures and the whole asset models look exactly like the Wild Brain models that they already have. I wish it was more stylized like how Monstrosity was with the different art style thanks to some Creature Studios. But with this studio, they just completely just do a one-to-one from Wild Brain and just make it their own unique style. That's pretty much it. Plus, these shorts are in fact canon to the series, which makes it so confusing that if these shorts take place directly in Monstrosity, or if this is Kai's second visit to the Land of Monsters, which wouldn't make any sense because why would Kai visit the Land of Monsters? So I feel like that these shorts is just a loose connection within Monstrosity. But at the end of the day, this whole series as a whole was meant to target for the younger audience. That's why they uploaded these episodes onto Ninjago.com. And this is just a more washed down version of Monstrosity, which I just highly recommend just watching Monstrosity. So at the end of the day, I wish this sequel to Monstrosity was more like Monstrosity. But it's safe to say this is what it is. After one series of shorts became so successful while the other didn't, LEGO decided to make a third attempt of making a new series of shorts based on a podcast. And they decided to make a podcast based on two side characters from Dragon's Rising, that being Crossroads Crosstalk. Now, these shorts are in fact canon to the show, where they take place immediately after season 3, where it's several weeks and Creel and Lamo decided to make their own podcast, going into their silly hijinks and etc. Now, this podcast was alright. It's fine and it's way better than Monstrous Journey. And I will say, this series is very unique just because of the cast selection. Of course, we have Creel and Labo, but we also have characters like Fujidum, Gale Gossip, Fudulian, Ninja Fan Infinity, Spaghetti for Days 99, etc. This is a very unique cast selection to be a part of this podcast. And within this podcast, a lot of things happen in the series, such as Creel and Lamo going to the Explorers Club and meeting Reginald Slitterbottom, the first ever Serpentine to be a part of the Explorers Club, who is a relative of Frack. Or Creel and Lamo are going to a Ninjago convention, meeting up with fans who like the ninja. Or that the fact that Creel confesses that she is now dating Fujidum, but towards the end of the series, Creel broke up with Fujidum and now has more interest with Roby, which is something, alright? We're not going anywhere further than that. But I don't recommend this series as an actual podcast to listen just because that these episodes aren't really good for a podcast listener. So watch the series once and I feel like you just don't need to watch it a second time. That's pretty much it. By the end of season 2, I was really excited to see what season 3 has to offer. Jay will be coming back into season 3 and have more screen time. We're getting to see the Forbidden Five in action using their elemental powers. Aaron and Roz are together. Many Ninjago fans, including myself, had high expectations for this season. And season 3 offer us Prismatic Blades, less of the Forbidden Five, the Reveal Blade, Thunderfang. Season 3 is incredibly disappointing and complete disjointed. To be completely honest, part 1 was kind of a mess, while part 2 is actually kind of better than part 1. And these two parts are completely disjointed, and honestly, I would rather have part 2 be the whole season rather than part 1. So I don't exactly know where to begin, so let's talk about visuals. Now, season 3 with its visuals were fantastic. I think visually, I think this is probably the best that Ninjago has ever looked. Well, compared to the other two seasons, but I really like the atmosphere that season 3 has and the different locations that we get to see. And I like the world building that Ninjago gets to do with the whole merge lands and getting to see the rest of the new lands that we never saw before. And honestly, I really like the expansion of the whole merge lands. So I like the visuals we get to see in season 3, such as the whole storm aspect, the whole spectral attacks, how good the water is in episode 5. The visuals that Wildbraid and Unreal Engine have for this season looks incredibly well done, and honestly this is like so good to see from a visual aspect. Really love it. I'm really glad that Aaron still stuck around with Roz even at the end of part 1, because I would honestly rather have them continue on together rather than Aaron just switches sides by the end of part 1. So it is a great way that Aaron is still with Roz in part 2, but also with Sora, because Sora did say to Aaron that they're stronger together, so it makes sense to have Sora go with both of these hooligans. The whole Lee aspect was fantastic. I really like the whole land of Lee, the whole community of Lee, and Lee himself, which we'll talk about him towards the character section, but Lee was such a great villain in part 2. I feel like he should have been the main protagonist throughout part 2, rather than Thunderfang and the Forbidden Five. And I really like with the first episode, we immediately start where things left off with the last episode. Nia, Kai, and Wildfire are already in their search to find Jay, while the ninja are already in their search to find Eren. I really like how we immediately pick up where season 2 left off. Anyways, enough on this topic. Let's get into negatives. The prismatic blades as the collectibles of this season were kind of lame. To be honest, the designs are just katanas and they're just made of prismatic steel. That's pretty much it with the whole blades. And honestly, I wish they just weren't blades. I wish they were just cool different weapons, which the concept art for season 3 had the prismatic blades as different weapons, such as a shuriken, a whole nunchuck, and an actual sword that isn't a katana. I wish those were the actual prismatic blades or just prismatic weapons, rather than just having 5 identical weapons of katanas. I really don't like the fact that the Forbidden Five have their own master, which rumors have said that LEGO wanted to have an evil dragon into a set. So the writers had to add Thunderfang last minute, hence why he was kind of rushed with his whole backstory and his whole first appearance in the first half of season 3. I really don't like Nott or Zark's elemental powers, that being brute force and misfortune, just because that both of their powers look kind of similar and they're just blasting energy beams and that's pretty much it. I really don't like Nott's powers especially, but I wish they did something cool with Zark's powers a bit more in this season. But they really didn't. But Rox, on the other hand, she had the elemental power of fear, and we didn't saw it at all. The only glimpse we get to see her use it is actually from a comic, and that's really much it. The only two Forbidden Five members that actually get to use their actual powers were Kerr and Drix, and their elemental powers were probably the best powers out of the 5 core members. And the way they tried to incorporate the sets, most notably the Season 3 Part 2 sets, like Sora building a green jet for herself and Eren, that looks like it's going to be used by Lloyd by the end of the season. Or in the community of Lee, where they have a mech dragon rider that has the similar colors of Jay. And these vehicles and mechs look really out of place for what the context is showing us in that season, compared for what they're meant for the actual LEGO sets. So it is strange to me that the summer sets look very out of place in part 2, except for subsets like the Temple Bounty and Eren's mech. But I will say that the Kai's Mech Storm Rider from the Winter 2025 sets for Season 3 Part 1 was the most baffling decision that they could ever make for this set. Now, in the show, it was used by Wildfire, but towards the end, in Episode 10, it was later used by Kai, hence why Kai was marketed in the show as the main token of that set. However, it was Wildfire who used that set the most. But I guess the reason why they didn't put Wildfire as the main token in the set because she wouldn't sell well as a toy. So they rather give it to Kai, and hence why Kai was using it only in the last episode in the season 3 part 1 finale. There's so many characters that did something this year, so let's go through all of them, starting with the ninja. Up first, we got Kai. Now, I gotta say, he was the standout in Monstrosity. I really love his character in that series, and Vincent Tong delivers as voicing Kai in that series. However, in Monster's Journey, Kai was fine and okay in that series, but Monstrosity did so much better for Kai as a character. In Season 3, I think Kai was good in the season. I really like his voice of reason with Cole in episode 17. I also really like his voice of reason in episode 19 when he talks to Powerlin about communication. But I gotta say, I really like Kai's banter with Nia in this season because it really shows that Kai and Nia are siblings and their dynamic were really fun throughout this season. And then we get to Cole. Now, Cole in the first half of season 3, he only appears in the first episode, then he disappears to go to the Land of Lost Things, and then we get to see him again in the end of episode 10. And that's basically his appearance in the first half of season 3. However, in part 2, Cole appears a lot more in this season, where we get to the best moment for Cole in this season, and that is his whole breakdown. Where after Nod took the souls of the finders in Imperium, Cole wants to go immediately after Nod, but Kai decides to reconcile with him and saying that this isn't the right way to do so, which Cole decides not to listen to Kai because he is very hot-tempered and he immediately wants to go take on revenge on Nod. And many Ninjago fans have criticized that in that moment that wasn't Cole during that whole scene because of how pissed off he was. For me, I get why Cole had to be so pissed off and get hollowed because Cole cares a lot on the Finders because the Finders were a part of him as a family because Cole lost everything after the merge until he met up with the Finders and just became family with them. So I get why Cole had to be so pissed off against Nod after stealing the souls what was once his family. So I really like that cool moment between Cole and his fight against Nod. Really love that. But at the end of the day, he got hollowed and then he came back. So overall, Cole in this season, he did okay overall in this season. Then we have Zane, which he was the main token ninja in season 3 part 1. He appeared in the box arts, the intro, and he had a huge role in the first half in season 3. So, what did he do? Well, basically, he died for the 50,000th time. He reunited with Pixel, and Pixel rebuilt him, and he's much more bigger to sell more toys. And what did he do afterwards? He did absolutely nothing. He left with Pixel and went on their honeymoon. That is pretty much it. Now, the writers did say they were trying to fix Zane, and they essentially just did it. And Zane just didn't have a huge role in season 3. So, yeah, that was quite disappointing. And Zane in part 1, he was okay. I mean, him getting a bigger upgrade and him just becoming a buff was something, but that didn't really fix him. It wasn't really important at all. But in part 2, he just kind of left. But overall, Zane was okay, and I wish part 1 focused more heavily onto Zane as a character, rather than killing him off for the 50,000th time. But now let's talk about Jay, because Jay had a lot of things going on in this season. Now, in part 1, he is now a bounty hunter, and I really like his character as a bounty hunter. I wish we got to explore more of that side of him. But in part 2, he's just Jay, and he still doesn't have his memories. And he helps the ninja out to find Aaron's parents. And I really like Jay in part 2 because we get to see more of Jay, because in the past 2 seasons, Jay barely appears in those 2 seasons. In season 3, he has a lot of screen time. And Doc Wyatt, the head writer of Dragon's Rising, did confirm that this was the second stage of Jay appearing in the show. So in Act 1, Jay appeared in seasons 1 and 2, where he barely appears, while Act 2, which is season 3, Jay appears a lot more. And with Act 3, that being season 4, we'll see a lot more of Jay, and maybe he will finally regain his memories. But overall, in season 3, Jay in this season was really fantastic. I really liked him in both parts. My favorite standout moment has to go with his fight with Zark, and also him telling to Nia that there's some part of him that is good because there's some type of connection he has going on with Nia. So I can't wait to see their dynamic together in season 4. But let's talk about Nia. Her character in this season was great. I mean, there's nothing too much to say about her character, but the standout moments has to go with her and Jay in part 2 because I really like their dynamic. Even though Nia is trying to help out Jay, but Jay struggles to not have interest against Nia. But overall, nothing too much to say about Nia in season 3. Same goes to Lloyd. Lloyd was okay in the season. I think he did a pretty good job in season 3, but I am just really excited for him for season 4, where we finally get to talk about his elemental powers of energy and its whole history behind its elemental power. So I can't wait for Lloyd to have a huge character development in season 4. Moving forward into the new ninja, Eren was fantastic in season 3. I really like his dynamic with Roz and him still sticking around with him after the end of the first half into season 3. And then in the second half of season 3, Eren finally betrays Roz and he finally reunites with his parents. I really like his whole character arc where at first Eren realizes that his parents are dead, but in the second half, I really like how Eren finally reunites with his parents. A great character arc for him. Cannot wait to see him in season 4. Then we have Sora, which Sora was alright in this season. She did had a huge impact within season 3, but I really like her dynamic with Eren and Roz until she realized that Roz is using her to be a sacrifice until Eren rescues her. Nothing too much to say about her. Same goes to Wildfire. She didn't have too much development for her character. She is just there. And then Frack, which is the new member of the ninja team. I think Frack was alright in this season. But I really don't like his weird obsession with Sora. Maybe I just wish that Frack could just confess to Sora that he has a crush on her. And that could have worked out. But no, Frack just has a huge obsession with Sora, and Sora doesn't realize about that. So at the time being, them as a couple, it's something alright. I wouldn't agree as the worst thing, but not the best thing. I think I'm just in between. And then finally we got Ryu, which I am so happy that Ryu finally learned Spinjitzu. So overall, the new ninja were alright throughout season 3. Now quickly going into the side characters plus returning characters. Pixel was great to have to return, so as Moro, but I do wish we have some answers to what happened to Moro. Is he still alive? Slash, he's dead, but is he alive after season 3 ended? We're not too sure. Tyr, I think he's a great character, and the whole Dragonian tribe, I really like them. They're really wholesome, to be honest. Roby was okay. Black was alright. I'm really happy that we finally get to see Eren's parents. They were great in this season. Frohiki and Gio were also great, especially Rontu and Eagle, which that was a very depressing and sad scene of Eagle dying. His passing was quite sweet and very wholesome. I mean, we are gonna miss Eagle, so RIP to Eagle. Powerlin, which he was something, and then Raptor, which it is Raptor at the end of the day. So that is pretty much all of the new side characters and the old returning characters in this season. But let's move on to the villains. Let's talk about Ross first because bro was so goated in this season, mainly in part 2. But part 1, he was great. I really like his dynamic with Eren, but let's really talk about part 2. I really love his fight against Eren and Sora in episode 14, but the real standout for Roz has to go with his fight against Frohiki, Gio, and Rontu in episode 19. The most standout fight scene that Roz has ever done. I just really like his whole fight scene with him against 3 characters, and those characters did not stand a chance against Roz. He was just OP, each of them getting defeated by Roz himself, and I'm just really excited what comes next with his character because now he trapped Master Wu. So I can't wait to see what Roz will do next because, as we heard, Roz only appears in 2 episodes in the first half of season 4. So hopefully he will have more screen time in season 4 part 2. Now let's talk about the Forbidden Letdown. Forbidden 5. Now, the Forbidden 5 were kind of a letdown in both part 1 and part 2. I think part 1 did justice, but part 2, they were kind of there. Now, in part 1, I think that all of these characters as a whole, they were great. And the main standout has to go with Drix against the ninja in episode 8. Man, that was a fantastic scene. And I think Drix was probably the best member out of the 5 main members. And then in part 2, they were just pawns of Thunderfang and they were just there collecting souls for him. And that was pretty much it. And they basically died. So it was kind of a letdown of how the Forbidden 5 just became the Wash 5 because this season was originally intended to be focused on them. But instead, LEGO just decided to make Thunderfang, which we'll talk about right now. Now, Thunderfang was something, and he was just a last minute rush character because Lego intervened with the writers and they wanted to have a dragon. That way they could sell toys. So Thunderfang was created. Alongside with Thunderfang, they had to create the Arc Dragon of Focus because to sell more toys, and they need something to defeat Thunderfang during the whole flashback and the whole lore stuff. So yeah, Thunderfang was created last minute into the season, same as the Arc Dragon. But I don't get why the Forbidden Five need a master. They really didn't need one to begin with. But it was stated in season 2 that they never had a master nor mentioned Thunderfang.
The Forbidden Five were once elemental masters, thousands of years ago. They discovered evil powers no other elemental master could stop.
Which does mean that Lego did in fact intervene with the writers in adding a dragon last minute because they could sell more toys with an evil dragon, and that's how Thunderfang was created, hence why his whole backstory was rushed, and Thunderfang was just a last additional villain to be the main master of the Forbidden Five. Which also doesn't make sense, but there are some speculations as to the reason why they added Thunderfang, and the reason why the Forbidden Five were easily defeated was the way that the Forbidden Five were too powerful, so they needed to come up with a way to make the Forbidden Five defeatable, hence why they had to add Thunderfang, the whole Master element, and how that they were connected with his elemental powers, etc. And that's how the Forbidden Five were easily defeated by the end of the season. So yeah, that was a great way to waste your most powerful villains, and I just wish that we got more screen time and more usage of the Forbidden Five, but it wasn't. So Thunderfang was just created in this season, and I think Thunderfang overall as a character was something, and I think it was okay, but as a villain, no, I wish it was the Forbidden Five, not Thunderfang. And I wish it was more focused and heavily focused on the Forbidden Five instead of Thunderfang. But lastly, let's talk about Lee, because honestly, he should have been the main villain in part 2, because he is really one of the most darkest Ninjago villains yet. Even that the wiki has stated that it has been removed since then, but yeah, Lee is probably the most darkest Ninjago villain yet. Just the way he speaks, the way he does in this season, and most notably his voice actor. And I am just so happy it isn't voiced by one of the main cast members. He is voiced by someone different, and that is very unique for this character. And the way that Lee was so lonely and decides to make his own community using a bunch of lies against the people who are just regular civilians, it is very weird and very dark that Lee decides to trap a whole bunch of civilians who really like the whole community and saying that they can never leave the land of Lee. So yeah, Lee is probably the best villains in this season, and he should have been the main villain in part 2. With this season being very disjointed and being a complete mess, this season overall, with its few flaws and its drastic production history, is fine. To be honest, this might be my personal favorite season. Sure, it has some flaws here and there, but this season might be my personal favorite just because that part 2 was just way better than part 1. And it isn't better than, say, seasons 1 and 2. This season overall might be my personal favorite, but as a season, it's just fine. But I do gotta say, part 2 is way better than part 1. But what do you guys think about this season? Do you like this season? Do you not like this season? Or do you just don't care about this season at all? Leave all your thoughts down in the comments down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on notifications whenever I post a brand new video, and until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!